Hi, my love, and welcome to Yes to Life podcast, a podcast about soulful living and sacred feminine embodiment. It is a podcast about following our dreams, open up to our full potential, and saying yes to life. It is also a podcast about remembering the sacredness of the female body and the feminine essence. My name is Helena. I'm a mother of 6 beautiful children and a sacred, sensual, and feminine embodiment guide. I help women in all stages of their lives to love, adore, and understand their female bodies, to celebrate their feminine essence, and to awakening their inner goddess. I'm the founder of Blissful Feminine Flow and the creatrix of programs like Yoni Flowering, Womb Bliss, Sacred Bleeding, Blissful Mama, Pleasure Queen, and Sacred Feminine Body Love. I have always been very open and sensitive and have a feeling that more is possible. Beside my deep love and curiosity for the female body and the feminine essence, which I got mostly from my own pregnancy, birth, and motherhood, I am also very fascinated about people who have dared to walk their own path and follow their dreams and are showing us that more is possible. I can see the power of us coming together and have these deep conversations about the things that we care about. I can also see the gift of listening to these deep conversations. That's why I started this podcast. If this touches something deep within you, please stay tuned and let's get started with today's episode. Loves, and welcome to this episode of Yes to Life podcast. And in this episode, I have a beautiful conversation with an amazing woman, Indivara. And whenever I think of her, the words that comes to me is Shakti and expansion. And I love how she is allowing us to follow our inner muse and allow our inner Shakti to flow freely. So welcome to this episode and open up and listen to her magic. So, my loves, welcome to another episode of Yes to Life podcast. And today I am here again with another beautiful, wonderful guest, amazing woman who get me to feel this aliveness inside. And the word that comes to me when I think about her, that is Shakti. Shakti and expansion. So, and I think you listeners are going to understand why when you listen to our conversation. So I just want to say welcome, Indivara.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for this invitation and thank you for seeing me. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to what comes through today during this conversation.
Yeah, I know that I have shared about you for some of my students and some of my communities, but I know that there are more people that are listening to the podcast. And if you want to share a little bit about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I would identify as an expressive arts therapist. So I believe in utilizing the arts as a way to communicate our inner worlds outwards or to communicate within ourselves into deeper layers of being. And my methodology that I use with my clients and that I teach and share is called MABS. So that stands for movement, artistic expression, breath, sound, and spirit. And I find that the tools that I use somehow fall underneath that umbrella. And my background is within more of a clinical mental health background as a therapist in hospitals in Boston, Massachusetts. And over the past 15 years, I've been exploring and experimenting and training and sharing and practicing different holistic healing modalities that have really helped me in my own journey and that I feel inspired to share with other people. So primarily now I facilitate a training that's a trauma-informed facilitator training for women who are desiring to have that lens of sensitivity when they're leading their retreats or circles or programs or courses. And then I also do some deeper one-on-one work in feminine leadership and embodiment, and also holistic integration of different trauma that might be limiting us or blocking us from being in our brightest, healthiest Shakti expression.
Yes. Beautiful.
Mm.
And I can feel that. I know that when I talk to women that work with women and this feminine embodiment journey, that's so we feel that it's hard to put it into words. And I'm so um, impressed by how you are
Mm.
doing that, because I know that it's so much to what you do. I can feel it
Mm.
through what you share and when I listen to you. And I love that you said about the artistry, because I think that it's also a part that we sometimes forget, and how beautiful it is when she can flow and be free to express herself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a big piece, feeling the freedom or maybe experiencing more freedom on the other side of the practice or the art, and how the art can help to open up the door to feel more freedom within the body, within the psyche, within the heart, within the womb.
Mm.
And yeah, I think we all go through seasons and phases when we might not feel fully free to express for whatever reason. And I think it's really important to prioritize being in environments and relationships and spaces and communities where that's really encouraged, that part of us. Because I think like mainstream culture and the environments that I grew up in, it was more of the opposite energy to conform and kind of fit within the box. And this is the track of kind of the acceptable career paths, and being a womb healer and an embodiment coach, or doing the yoni work, and all these things weren't really things that were being modeled to me within the environment that I grew up
No,
in.
exactly. And also when you start as a, you want to an entrepreneurship, then it's also so easy to fall into that trap. Of course, you have to have a structure and some structure, but it's so easy to tip over to that part that have to um, what is the word, produce or instead of
Mhm.
create. And I can
Uh-huh.
feel the difference is so, it's
Mhm.
such an edge,
Mhm.
and I can feel
Mhm.
how everything stops when I don't create,
Mhm. Mhm.
when I try to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's interesting to track, like, what's the energetic behind the creation? Like, is the energetic coming from more of like a yang masculine structure, like produce or to be successful or to receive validation on the other end or to receive monetary value? Or are we creating from a space of genuine inspiration, of like, the muse is moving within me. If I don't write this down, then it's gonna float off into the ethers, or even the intention. I teach about this in some of my programs, but creating from the feminine channel and
Mm.
allowing there to be a ceremonial space where we are open to receive, where we have the intention of going into nature, or a place that we feel more connected to God, the divine, goddess, the universe, whatever language resonates with you, for me personally, it's being outside, it's being in nature, it's feeling the sun on my skin, the dirt underneath my feet, being close to the ocean, and yeah, allowing there to be spaciousness hours at a time where the intention is I am open to receive, opening my channel, opening my vessel, and not forcing it like, okay, now I'm going to channel my book or my program or my poem, but just allowing there to be times where I'm deeply listening to my body, that I'm deeply listening to God, the universe, and um, yeah, having the energetic be again, maybe a genuine inspiration or processing a deep emotion, or maybe even creating this is going to benefit other people beyond me, like
Yes.
the ripple effect of the art.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes, I totally agree. And I can feel that too, that it's easy, or I can feel that fertility is so much that wants to come through and to be birthed and to be expressed, and how easy it is going out in nature. The channel opens,
Mm.
and how supportive it has been to listen to you and to see your shares in the feed, that you are saying something that just allows that to be that way, because it's
Mhm.
so much, we are bombarded with information, and as you said, uh, we are guided into thinking that it has to be successful or productive, and I can't function from that. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have felt that I am wrong in some way, or people don't understand, but it have been so supportive to have you there to come and
Mm.
say some wise things that have allowed that to go back to that
Mm.
state and open that channel and just allow it to flow, and the inner muse
Mhm.
to do her thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Yeah, I love this, the energetic of the muse and the energetic of this. I see like the muse and the Shakti as being very much so related, like a force of nature, a spark of inspiration, this like sensual body-based expression, like an emotional wave that you just like, if you catch the wave in the right time, if
Yes.
you're present enough to be with her, then you'll receive some gifts on the other end of the experience, and not so much focusing on like the outcome of what's this going to turn into, but enjoying the pleasure within the moment. And I was sharing this with some friends at dinner the other night with dancing. I've become over the years just more and more in touch with my dancing movement practices that are more fluid.
Yes.
I'm more I'm trained in, I'm just receiving a little feedback. I'm going to turn this down. Um, I've done a lot of training in more formal yoga practices and like being on the mat and being really alignment based. And there's something that happened, I would say, within the past 4 years. I think, especially living in Hawaii and being around all the mana and the feminine energy of the islands and connected to the most beautiful nature I've ever experienced. And a lot of embodied women who are very confident and connected to their cycles, and their movement brought this out of me of like, I want to dance more and more and more. And I think taking the emphasis off of like the technique, or how flexible I am, or what sort of moves can I do from an external gaze, but being so led by pleasure within the body and nonlinear movements and spirals, and kind of this like unwinding. And that can be such a magnetic energy when you do witness, or you're with somebody in the same space, or even watch yourself in the mirror, or recording of like moving from the pleasure space of not performative, but just I'm following how amazing this feels for me. And
Yeah.
in comparison with maybe someone who's a trained ballerina who can do like the full splits and the plies and all of these things, but there's this more like rigid control emphasis on the performance or the alignment. It's like it's so beautiful, but there's something for me personally just seeing like the wild, raw, feminine energy, Shakti being led from like pure pleasure that can be so magnetic. And when
Mm.
we take time to be in that practice and then maybe we write from that space or we create a painting from that space or we even answer our emails from that space or make love from that space, I feel like it can just be like the Shakti is infinite when we're coming from a space of overflow.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And sometimes when I get stuck, I want to write something. I feel that it is there, and I start, and then in the middle of everything, it can just take a pause, and then I go up and I start to dance, and then it starts to
Yeah.
the words start to
Mm-hmm.
come again. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I was thinking maybe I should have something with a computer in front of me so I can dance and
Yeah,
but I can
totally.
do it on the phone, so I can go around and dance. But I
Mm-hmm.
totally agree, it's so different. And I also a yoga teacher, and sometimes I love yoga, but sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
feel that I can't. It doesn't help as it used to do.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that is missing, and I remember this was some years ago. I was just I thought, do I have to do more yoga
Mm.
or? But I in the middle of everything, I started to dance and put some other music on, and everything shifted. And I think that's a journey for many women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's something so beautiful about the tradition of yoga and the lineage of yoga and the wisdom that's passed down. And it's been so helpful for me on my past path to have that discipline to come back to and, something just like really grounding about like I'm in the four corners of my mat. I'm doing the vinyasa flow that I've done thousands of times. Like there's something beautiful about that reset. And also sometimes it feels limiting to me of I am confined to this mat, to this square. If you're practicing in a studio, for example, you're in this shared space, which is beautiful to be breathing together. And also it's not unlimited in the amounts of movements and expressions that you can do. You can't just start doing, jumping jacks and
Uh,
screaming or shaking your ass. That's
yeah.
going to be disruptive to other people. And so I think there is something beautiful about being in the free spaces where there is unlimited amounts of expressions and movements and sounds and ways that we can move the energy that feels more organic. And when you were talking about that like stagnation when you are writing and then you do a dance and then you feel like it's flowing more, I'm being reminded of the metaphor of water. I see a beautiful glass of water behind you on your altar. And, the human body is made up of 80% water, and especially women with the womb and you creating six babies, the amount of water that goes into that creation. And when we look at bodies of water within nature, especially living in Kauai the past couple years is such a wet world of just gushing rivers and waterfalls and oceans and just like lush jungle. It's like when the water is so clean, it's when it is moving and flowing, and there is the energetic and the mana and the prana and the life force surging through. And that's the same as the human body versus when we're looking at a puddle or a pond that's just been stagnant, and then it's like the mold and the bacteria and the debris starts to grow because there is no flow and no movement of the energy. And so I think coming back to that metaphor within
Mm.
the natural body, especially the feminine, and that yin of allowing the energy to be free and noticing and being so aware of when we start to notice the stagnation of when we have been sitting at the computer for 2 hours and we're starting to feel the tightness within our shoulders and our jaw and our pelvis and our hips. And it's like, okay, how can I get up? And even, 5-10 minutes, you can have a total shift.
Absolutely, yes. Yes. And I think it's just that we have to remember, and also, even if I know there's such a deep conditioning of that, it's a little bit dangerous to go there. I think
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
we are carrying this fear, many women, of many of us, and it's a journey to let go of that. And then when you were talking about the community, and I know that you are holding space for other women, that's so important, just to get the allowance, and to have someone that tells you that that's okay. That's okay to move.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay to
Yeah.
dance. That's okay to
Mm-hmm.
out of this uh, rules.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something that I really love is when you talked about expanding, would be expanding the way in which the feminine expresses. And I think the people that are called to my work, I often receive the feedback that I have such a wide range. And it's something that I continue to want to stretch myself in. And, I love the sweet yin feminine. Right now, I'm wearing like a cozy pink, you know, sweater and all the things and the roses and the tea and the altar and the meditation music and doing like the slow yin soft practices. Like I love that space. I love being in prayer. I love, working with angelic energy. And then also I really do enjoy some of the dark feminine. And I love being in a more like sexual, erotic, rough, wild woman archetype. And it's like we get to be all of it. And I encourage women to, yeah, seek out the spaces where that feels safe. And those are the spaces that I like to cultivate, that we don't need to be like fitting inside of one box or conditioning, even within the spiritual community of like, this is spiritual and this is not. It's like, how can we um, be wild and messy and maybe even, swear or twerk or whatever it is. And it's like, and that can still be a spiritual practice if it's done with intention. And if it helps us to, connect to our art and access different parts of ourselves, and we feel connected to God when we are allowing ourselves to unwind in that way.
Mm. Yes. And it's such a liberation. And also that word expansion, because I can feel how the feminine, she's wants to expand and to take up space,
Mm-hmm.
and also she's rebirthing herself all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
the moment that we think that it's enough, or now we're at the end, everything dies. So that
Mm-hmm.
constant expansion. And
Yeah.
I also want to ask you, when you say Shakti, I
Mm-hmm.
that's so much energy when you're talking about Shakti. So can you
Mm-hmm.
please share your, when you say Shakti, what do you mean? What words
Mm-hmm.
or things, or what
Yeah.
what yeah.
Yeah. When I think of Shakti, I think of, yeah, similar to what you were just saying. Honestly, it's like the opportunity to be reborn and die and be reborn again, like this cycle of life, this like ever ending, infinite force of nature, like this aliveness, the pleasure, the spark, the muse, the divine, being able to see the divine within all things. And I think she's this archetype of resilience and power that I often work with and call upon when I feel like I need to feel this, this surge of mana, prana, life force, chi, of just like infinite resilience, the opportunity to continue to be reborn again and again and again. And she is this feminine energy that is very wide and expansive, like the universe.
Yes. Mm, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because I can feel that it's so much energy and so much aliveness when you talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, the sexuality and the sexual energy. I also
Mm-hmm.
think that's a part of us that calling for our attention, and want us to give her space too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, the most powerful energy coming from our womb space and the ability to create life. And, if we desire to be a mother and have that opportunity and environment to do so, we can channel that into nurturing our children. And if we are in a season or choose not to have children at some point, it's like we can still access that ability to create life and then channel that into our business, our offerings, our relationships, our art, our poems, our courses, and allow it to be like we're giving birth to our creative projects and creative offerings. And yeah, I'm so curious. You being a mother of six, I feel like that's amazing. And I'd be curious to hear how being a mother and going through that journey 6+ times has affected your ability to tap into your Shakti and to tap into your ability to channel after. If you can think back to like your maiden days and then now being a veteran mother, what does that journey look like for you?
Yes, I'm so happy that you asked me that question. I just want to drink some water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was thinking about it when you were talking about, if you want to have babies, you can use your Shakti in the womb space for that. And
Mhm.
if you don't, you can birth other things. And for
Mhm.
me, now when I had my sixth baby, I was thinking maybe I'm not going to have more babies. Maybe not. But I was, I, I nearly got depressed or something. It was like my life force died. And
Mm.
then I was, so that little thought, or maybe I have to hold her back, because I can feel how my womb space uh, love carrying babies, and I can feel how
Mm.
much fertility I hold inside of me, and that Shakti that wants to flow. And also, I also have um, old programs and judgments that I picked up from people around me and my family and the society that goes against my Shakti and the womb space,
Mhm.
the inner goddess that wants to expand and to want to express and to birth and to
Mm.
shine everything that she wants to
Mhm.
share with the world.
Mm.
And I would say that most of my connection with the female body and the gift that she holds, and also the feminine essence and what I call the inner goddess or Shakti, have come from my pregnancy and birth, and also motherhood, because you if you're constantly being called into that.
Mhm.
And I was writing about this for my Swedish community a couple of weeks ago, and how I always wanted to be a mother. And then when I got pregnant, it was like
I find myself. So some of my mission also, but I think that it brought me into my female body, and I wanted to be in her. And before that, yeah, I didn't like my body. I wanted to go out of it. I wanted to leave the body. And then when I got pregnant, I loved being in my body and started to love her and created a totally different relationship with her. And I can see that both in my own life, but also with the women that I work with, that if we explore our female body through our feminine essence or through our Shakti, with Shakti, it's a totally different experience when we do that, rather than trying to explore her from our mind or from our masculine side. So, and also judgment disappear. And before I was thinking maybe that's if you pregnant, you allowed to be different. But now I have understand that that's the connection that divine mother and that Shakti and divine feminine, because she never judged. She don't judge anything. She allows and she loves. And also that trusting your channel. I think you talk about that, trusting the muse and trusting the channel, trusting what wants to flow through you. And that also something that you learn in birth. If you allow it, if you allow yourself to be in the process, if you allow yourself to be there and listen and be guided. And if you ask me, giving birth is the most pleasurable and blissful experience I have had, and orgasmic
I love hearing
experience.
that. I love hearing that.
Yes. And also motherhood, I think that's how we view it, because society are giving us one picture of what it is, but it also can be so blissful and beautiful and easy. Easy because change our view.
Yeah.
But I think when we think that we have to push the child away to have our own space, and because that's what we are shown. If we understand that, if we just tap into that source of Shakti, it's limitless. And if we allow ourselves to nurture ourselves, and also community, as you were speaking about, it's important to remember that it's a part of what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that. So inspiring. And yeah, just thinking back to what you were sharing of like always knowing that you wanted to be a mother. And, you know, when you had that experience of being pregnant for the first time, like really experiencing the miracle of your body, the miracle of the feminine body, and feeling so empowered and more compassionate and less judgmental of just like, wow, look at what my body can create and do, and sustaining life and bringing life through. And I think that, you know, there is this soul knowing, whether it is that we know that we desire to be a mom. I deeply desire to be a mom. I'm not yet, but I feel it happening. I feel it happening soon. And, you know, whether that be like for someone, they always knew that they wanted to travel to this one place, like their soul knew that they needed to go to Egypt or Bali or Costa Rica or whatever it might be. And then you arrive on that land. And it's like, oh, like my soul is home. Or, we always knew that we wanted to be a mom and then we're pregnant for the first time. It's like, oh, this just feels right. It just feels in alignment. It's like we know that we're meant to experience this or go to this place or create this thing or, be in partnership or whatever it might be, create this business or adopt a dog or whatever it is, when it's just like
Yes.
in alignment and it's just like a full body. Yes, this is what is meant to be, and
Yes.
continuing to follow that. It might not be this like grandiose thing of, a major life event, but maybe just something really simple of like how a certain food or supplement like lands in your body, like when it's a yes, and continuing to follow
Yes.
that. Or you create a new friendship and it just feels so like easy and flow and safety, like continuing to nurture that connection.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I also want to say that sometimes, because the first time I got pregnant, it ended up with a miscarriage. So, but
Mm.
directly after that, I got pregnant again. And
Mm-hmm.
through the pregnancy, of course, that's the most like business and pregnancy and birth is this part of our lives that everything, every everything is going to be shown to us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes it's every doubt and every pain and everything, because that little child are lighting up our womb space, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to share and to give us the opportunities to see what in there. And but if we know that, I think that's a little bit missing in the society also. That's I help many women with that too, through
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy and birth, and also in the beginning of the motherhood, to be held and by someone who knows that that can be that way. Maybe if
Mm-hmm.
you everything you wanted is to be pregnant, and then when you get pregnant, all that you can feel is fear,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can work through that and
Mm-hmm.
be held and heal so much too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's what you see when you help women in leadership and business also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And noticing, when we do have these deep soul heart desires, and maybe we're not living in alignment with that, and just starting to investigate, not from a space of judgment, but like what might be aspects of the life that are not in integrity with this vision or this desire, or what are some places, some like internal blockages, or maybe stories that we're telling ourselves, or just tracing back, like what could be a memory or a wound or a trauma that we've experienced that is starting to, color our current interactions, that could be moving us further away from our desires. And um, tracing it back to what you were saying before about, you were sharing how you wanted to like ascend, and or not ascend, but just like be out of your body. I think that that's really common, and I resonated with that in my experience too. The beginning of my awakening, I found myself like wanting to, be in the kundalini practices and meditate and be like ascending, like raising my vibration, connecting to these higher states of consciousness, and up being in a lot of like upper chakra energy. And that's so beautiful. And, I receive so much for being in those spaces. And also, we live on earth in the world. And how do we experience life within the body? So, like a descending, not in like lowering the vibration, but just like being in the physical, tangible body. And um, yeah, I think for people who have experienced a lot of trauma or wounding, or have had seasons of their life where they do feel unsafe, it can feel scary to be in the body, and it can feel scary to slow down and to hold a deep posture or to like really connect to the womb or, do a sacred practice like a yoni steam or something, like it can be terrifying to focus the energy and to be slow and to have all the presence be going inwards into those spaces. And so I think, yeah, just naming the ways that we can be really gentle with ourselves and just take baby steps towards that. And one of my intentions for this summit that I have coming up is to make it really relatable and digestible and, yeah, accessible to everyone and not have it be like so far out with any sort of spiritual languaging or something that's just like not relatable or accessible. But how can we come back into like really simple practices so that we can share that with our clients, so that we can come back to, yeah, ways in which we can connect to our heart, our soul, spirit, goddess, divine through even the mundane moments like drinking a tea.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think, Indivara, I think the first time I saw you, I think that was in Shakti Summit. If you, how many years have you had that?
This will be my third year.
Yes.
So
I
maybe
think that,
last year.
yes, or even the year before. I can't remember, but
Okay.
that's where I met you the first time. And
Yeah.
then
Oh, beautiful.
yes, I get curious about you more. And now it's time again. So please share with the listeners that beautiful
Mm,
experience too.
thank you. Yeah, it's really cool to see the full circle moments and to just see what relationships come from the summit. And I'm so grateful that it brought us together. So this year it's going to be October 1st through the 4th. So it's 4 days and it's a free online immersion. And the intention is to awaken the muse, like we've been talking about during this call and this session, and to activate and ignite this creative life force energy within our wombs, within wombs of women all over the world. And I've invited in different facilitators and speakers and teachers to share their work, which is in alignment with mine, of having more holistic healing ways to feel empowered, to feel embodied, to feel fully expressed, to feel like we're on a healing path, beyond just the language of traditional talk therapy, for example, or taking a medication, but really getting to the root and experiencing it from all different angles through movement, artistic expression, breath work, sound, and spiritual practices. And yeah, I'm getting really excited. It's going to be 2 calls a day. Um, I know you're in Sweden time, so I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'll just do Pacific time zone. It's going to be at noon Pacific time and then 5 Pacific time every day. And we'll have all the sessions recorded if you want to watch it back in the Facebook group, and it's also available for purchase. And another thread of the summit is a desire to shift a culture of women from being in competition or comparison with one another, but allowing the opportunity to move into inspiration. Like, how can we see when there's some, a teacher, for example, or a speaker is sharing their work or their story? It's like, instead of feeling like envious or I'm not enough because, wow, this woman's amazing, but it's like, how is she reflecting a part that's within me? And how might there be a sacred collaboration or weaving of energy that can come versus like a separation? And yeah, it's interesting. It's like a lot of the women that I invite on have such similar work to what I'm doing and such alignment with my mission. And one might think like, why are you introducing this? Or, what if a client were to hire one of your speakers versus you? And I'm like, honestly, good. If it's in alignment with their path, like I trust that. And I think that we're all working together of this like bigger mission of feeling more healthy, feeling more embodied, feeling more authentic, feeling like we're coming home to ourselves. And there's so many different little flavors of how we can access that. And I think that's the beauty of when we do follow the uniqueness of our soul and our lived experiences. Um, so yeah, that's more about the summit. And the opening ceremony is going to be a live ecstatic dance. One of my dear sisters from Maui, Hawaii, is going to be doing a live DJ set. So we'll be dancing and praying and getting down. So I'm really looking forward to that on October 1st.
Yeah, that's going to be absolutely amazing. And your way of holding it, I remember you have such a gift in that, because you're holding it, and as you said, you can feel that sisterhood and that collaboration and that supportive energy, and also the allowance.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful, and I totally agree, because we all have unique gifts, so we can't compete, because
Mm-hmm.
we are all unique. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And I just want to ask you, because you talked about trauma healing, and
Yeah.
also how beautiful it is to do that, and to because I think that sometimes we think that going out of the body, as we said, is
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
way. But when
Yeah.
we come into the body, that's something that most of us have to do, because
Yeah.
trauma lives in many many people's
Mm-hmm.
bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's very common for women that I support and work with who have experienced abuse or sexual trauma that it can feel really scary to be within the body and do some somatic practices. And so I think it's really important to empower our clients that we're supporting, or ourselves in our own journey, to listen to the pacing and to go really, really slow, and to take breaks and to integrate, and not to, bulldoze through or overwhelm the system. And I think that it's important to find a relationship of a coach or a therapist or a guide or a mentor that we do feel this safety to communicate authentically. Like, I need to take a break, I need to slow down, and really, really honoring that and having somebody that's mindfully tracking you. Um, and yeah, I think the trauma or the experience, we don't have a magic wand. We can't make that go away or go back in time and erase it, but we can shift the relationship to what has happened to us. And so I think it takes a lot of courage to intentionally go back into these memories and these experiences, and to be able to sit with and be with all parts that are alive, all of the words that were never said, or all the emotions that were never felt, and to allow it to move through you, just like that water metaphor, instead of a stagnation. Some people may sit with and repress a trauma for 20, 30, 40 years, their whole lifetime, and never share with anybody, or not, never look at it. But if we do continue to go back, in ceremony, maybe we're working with the plants, or, maybe we're doing a vocal toning exercise, or, a rage ritual of banging a pillow and working with a practitioner. It's like we have the courage to go back into the memory, to look with it, to see it, to feel it, to experience it from multiple angles and perspectives, higher, lower, younger, older self. And yeah, it's like once we invest that time and that energy of being with it and feeling it all the way through, at the pace that feels authentic for you for however many times that it takes. It could be a lifetime. It's my experience that the relationship can shift and we can feel less of a charge and an activation within our body when we are reminded of it. And, likely it's not going to be creeping in unexpectedly or having flashbacks as often or as intense if we are doing the work to again be with it, feel it, experience it, and also be witnessed in it, and maybe creating something tangible outside of the body, like a lot of the work that I'm doing with 2D art, like painting and drawing and poetry, for example. It's like it can live and exist outside of the body and be a time capsule of the process of where we are now, and continuing to revisit it and just track the journey. And it's not a linear progress. But maybe there's some points where we do feel more clarity or groundedness, or maybe even peace with what we've experienced. And, sometimes there might be seasons where it's more challenging, or, we go through pregnancy or a birth or a death or whatever it is, and it resurfaces it. But it's all part of the human experience. And yeah, it's such an honor to do this work. I feel so, it's like such a gift and such a privilege and such a passion, and feels so important. And there's really nothing else I could be doing. It's one of those soul knowings of, okay, this is what I've chosen, and we're going all the way.
Yes, yes, lovely. And I can see that it's so we need this,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
that's I started as a pregnancy yoga teacher, and then starting to work with women when they was going to give birth. So I had them to prepare. And then I saw
Mm.
the importance of the relationship to their yoni, and
Mhm.
how much that comes up, as you said, when you are going to give birth. And if you have
Mhm.
something there, you give the opportunity to
Yeah.
see it and to heal it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then I started to work with women in every part of their lives with the yoni, and started the yoni flowering program, and also talking much about both birth and sexuality, and how many women that have experienced some kind of abuse, or
Mhm.
yes, something that wasn't feeling good at the moment, and they don't
Mhm.
understand that it wasn't okay. And when
Mhm.
they hear that you did, your body did everything it could,
Mhm.
it was the right way to handle it then, and it
Mhm.
wasn't your fault, then when you change that
Yeah.
way of viewing it, the body starts to feel heard too,
Mhm.
and
Mhm. Mhm.
and safe to release it. So I
Yeah.
can see
Mhm.
that's so important. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so important to have the people and the places that we can diffuse some of the shame or the blame or the fear that we're holding within our system. And, so important to have that lens of like, we're all doing our best in this human experience, given the level of consciousness and awareness and tools and resources and support that we have in the moment. And, we have a choice point to continue to seek out more of that. And, I definitely want to be a resource for support. And if any of your listeners or community are resonating with what we're sharing, would love to hear from you. I share a lot of my work on Instagram, Indivara Shakti, and then my website is indivarashakti.com, and that has all the links to the summit and one-on-one work with me and trainings and things of that nature. And I'll be opening up a trauma-informed facilitator training program the end of October if anyone in your community feels inspired to go deeper and and wants to incorporate in this trauma-informed lens into their programs or courses, retreats, circles, and whatever way that they're sharing and supporting their communities.
Oh, amazing. Is that Shakti expansion?
So yeah, I have, yeah, thank you for asking. So I have a membership program that's called the Shakti Expansion Master Muse. Yes. And that's a monthly call, and that's more centered towards, like we were talking about before, creating from the feminine channel. And it's a space of different artists and healers and entrepreneurs and business owners and teachers. We meet once a month, and we have an opportunity to be in the master muse and share what we're creating, what we're working on, and receive multiple perspectives on our passion projects and offerings and connections. And we have a different theme every month. This month, we're going to be talking about astrology and how, when we have a greater understanding of our placements of our planets and just a greater understanding of our astrological chart, how we can feel empowered within our artistry and creations and business. One of the members of the mastermind is an astrologist, so she's going to be presenting. And then the trauma informed facilitator training is a 4-month training that we meet once a week. So that's more of like an intimate container of 4 months. And at the end, you receive a certification that you're a trauma informed facilitator.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh. So you hear, listeners, so much juiciness. Just choose. Just choose. Or if you don't really know what to choose, so go and come to the Shakti Summit.
Yeah, the Shakti Summit.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I will put all the links. You can send them to me.
Thank you. I will.
Yes. So I can easily go to the right place.
Yes.
Yes. But thank you so very much for this conversation. So beautiful to have you here. And I feel that it's so much that is bubbling and flowing. And I also feel that this is so, I love that the expansion, because it's something in expansion that I think many of us are, yes, we need allowance. Yeah. And you're giving us, it's so beautiful.
Oh, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. It feels so good to be in your space. And yeah, it's like for all of us, continue to follow that bubbling within us. Like when we feel that magnetism, when we feel that aliveness, when we feel the heart expanding, the womb expanding, all the tingles, it's like continuing to follow those relationships and opportunities and pathways and doorways. And that is the path of Shakti, being so present that we're listening to the subtle sensations and allowing her to guide us.
Yes. Beautiful. So will be the end words for this beautiful conversation.
Thank you. I feel like we could keep going for days and days.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and aloha, sending love to anybody listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If this was touching you, please feel free to share. And to find out more, check out the links below.